Finally, your second stimulus check bill has been released, and in a first look, this channel will deliver the details on all the provisions you've been asking about. The stimulus check, EIDL, tuition, food, rent, eviction moratorium, and how about the big questions, mortgage forbearance, student loan debt, and then all the other things you've been wondering about. Are they in here or not in here? FPUC retro, PUA UI, multiple stimulus checks, when and where would they be landing? It's all slightly confusing, but I'm going to make it very simple. This is the second stimulus check package, and for the first time, and the first time ever, we have the details, and I'm going to be going forward and going through them item by item with you in this recording. It's a lot of stuff. You're going to be surprised, and let's get to it on a great afternoon of Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Afternoons LALATE in a real shocking day in which the bill has been released for your second stimulus check and second stimulus package. I'm going to be going over the deal provisions, and I'll be going over what you're anticipating as questions about what's unfolding. Namely, is this in there? And if not, is it in the third stimulus package? I'll answer the differentials between the second stimulus package and the third stimulus package with things like SSI and SSDI, multiple stimulus checks, hazard pay, and all those things as well. Please subscribe because no one is recording around the clock like I am. No less than 11 to 15 videos a day will be rolling into this channel starting in the next few days because there's so many things that giving you money on the second stimulus package. I don't want you to miss a video. I'll be bringing back retro videos. I'll be going live. I'll be going taped. I'll be going double live. Double live is when I go live on one subject, I take a break, and I come back and I have another subject. Moreover, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to make separate videos on every subject so you don't have to actually sort through 24 minutes or 30 minutes to find the answer. I'll make very simple, straightforward videos. One about EIDL, one about rent, one about SSI. They're going to be landing in your inbox if you hit the subscribe on the front of this channel. Also, hit the alert so you'll actually see separate, very simple, easy to read, and easy to follow videos one by one. And with that, there's so much to go over in this video. Let me give you an overview of what I'm covering. I'll be covering the deal provisions of the second stimulus check and second stimulus package. Who's getting the check, when you're getting the check, what are the deal provisions. I'll be going over what's logistically, procedurally happening with Congress, when they'll vote, when they will pass it, will they not pass it, all those questions as well. Then I'll be going over what's happening in third stimulus. That's the package that's going to be unveiled by Biden in just a few days from now. And third stimulus versus second stimulus. I'll answer your questions that you've been sending that are saying, hey, is this here? If not, is it in the third stimulus? I'll make it very simple for you. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you start today is that the second stimulus bill has been released. It's 5,000 pages. It's bigger than anyone anticipated. It was supposed to be just a simple series of a few items. It has a lot of stuff in them. And with that, let me get right to this. This is a bill. It's not law. First, the stimulus check. It will be $600 for individuals making up to $75,000 a year and $1,200 for married couples making up to $150,000 a year. Plus, there'll be a $600 stimulus check for every child dependent. That means a family of four will receive $2,400 in direct payments. There is no stimulus check for an adult dependent. There is no stimulus check for any child that's over a certain age, and that age looks like it's going to land at about over 17 years of age. The stimulus check will be provided to SSI and SSDI and Social Security and railroad benefits if you are not an adult dependent. If you are not an adult dependent. Next, PUA, FPUC, UI are all extended to March 14th of 2021. That means if you are inactive, you will go back onto active status. You will be paid PUA and UI, provided you certify for benefits every week and are still unemployed, all the way to March 14th of 2021. Your FPUC will be $300 a week going forward to March 14th, 2021. It will not be retroactive. More about the retroactiveness in a second. The UI that I'm referring to is PEUC. It's an addition to anything that your state does with extended benefits. So if your state gives you extra weeks of benefits, this is an addition to that. Next, small business money. EIDL grants is back, but not as was reported by Broadcast News yesterday. It is not back in the form that anyone thought it was coming back in. EIDL grants is back only for businesses and low-income communities as new applicants. So low-income community new applicants will have a window to apply for an EIDL grant, meaning it is not the remainder of your $10,000 grant. It is not for outstanding EIDL grants. That will be Biden stimulus. Next, there'll be another round of PPP, $284 billion for first and second round PPP, dedicated set-asides. And this will include things that were never included in PPP. It'll allow destination marketing organizations to apply. Nonprofits can now apply. They were not able to apply before. Local newspapers, TV and radio broadcasters. It will also include money for live venues, independent movie theaters, and cultural institutions, which include museums. Additionally, another provision, the ability to deduct business meals. It doesn't matter if you're an Uber or Lyft driver or Grubhub operator or an owner of a 500-person business. It can be as small as just you as a Schedule C or as big as a big corporation. Business meals will be deducted for 2 years at full deduction. This was a Trump provision. It got in there. Next, the costs associated with PPP will be fully deducted. That is new. Additionally, new. More money for farmers. There is farmer stimulus. Direct payments will be issued to farmers as well. There will be $13 billion for direct payments, purchases, and loans to farmers and ranchers who have suffered losses due to the pandemic. This is incredible, great news. This is in addition to everything that I'm talking about. Then there'll also be a 15% increase in SNAP. This will be and there'll be additional food for food banks and senior nutrition programs that have run out of money. There'll also be ensure that students have access to SNAP. There'll also be $614 million for nutrition assistance for Puerto Rico and the territories allocating emergency funds for school and daycare, and also include improvements for the PEBT program. It will also have additional money for food purchases, donation to food banks, and support local food services. So if you are one of those people who are getting the senior food service programs and have seen them run out of funds, it'll be refunded. Childcare. This is very exciting. There's going to be $10 billion in emergency funds for childcare through the CCBG program. Maintains the flexibility to use childcare assistance to families and help childcare providers for those that can't afford it during the pandemic. Additionally exciting, $7 billion in free broadband to low-income families. Democrats have gotten a $1 billion tribal broadband fund first. Then they got $250 billion of broadband for telehealth. But moreover, they've gotten $7 billion, which includes broadband for low-income families. It also includes broadband for rural communities that would normally not be reached by broadband. This is incredibly important as the virus spreads. Additionally, schools are getting big money. This includes HBCUs, tribal colleges, minority-serving institutions, elementary school relief. There's also relief for outgoing Indian education. This includes simple things as important as the HVAC systems in the schools so that they can be refitted so that they're appropriate for filtering of the virus. Rental assistance. Surprise is in here. The rental assistance program is back. We did not think that this was going to be in this, and it's in here, but it's not in the way that we thought it was going to be here and here. Let me go over the details. There'll be $25 billion in rent assistance available for low-income families. The low-income families can get rent paid whether it's past due rent, future rent, utilities, or energy bills, or preventing shutoffs. This is incredible, great news. This was nowhere delineated in any of the press releases over the last 2 weeks. The fact that this is in here is incredible. Now, here's the surprise to it. The prior HEROES Act had the rent program administered by a set standalone government agency, a federal agency, where you would apply, you would get approved. I made hundreds of rent assistance videos on this channel based upon that deal provision over the summer. That's not the way this is going to work. It's going to work differently. Rather, the money will be given to state and local, and you will apply to state and local. Additionally, there's a new eviction moratorium. Thank goodness, but it's not the eviction moratorium we thought we were going to get. The eviction moratorium is the extension of the Trump executive order for CDC eviction moratorium. If you've been with this channel, you also see me make countless recordings about rent and eviction moratorium. The CDC eviction moratorium was a program established by the Trump administration where you fill out paperwork provided by CDC, give it to your landlord, and that creates an eviction moratorium. That is being extended. It was to expire in late December. They are not establishing a national eviction moratorium when just by default you don't have to do anything. Here you do have to do something. The extension is to January 31st, 2021. Additionally, there's $45 billion for transportation, there's $69 billion for vaccine, and there's $12 billion for financial institutions and minority depositories. So with that, there's a lot in there and a lot not in there. So what is not in there? There is no stimulus check for adult dependents. There's no stimulus check for people who made over a certain amount of money. There is a stimulus check for people who are on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, provided you're not an adult dependent. There is no stimulus check for families of 5. There is stimulus checks up to a family of 4. There is no EIDL grant of the remainder of your $10,000 EIDL grant. There is no EIDL grant for people who have not gotten their EIDL grant. There is only EIDL grant for new small businesses that servicing the minority communities in the low-income communities. There is rent in there for low-income houses. Low-income houses are generally about $49,000 or less per year. You have to apply for it. There is no automatic eviction moratorium. You have to actually fill out the CDC eviction moratorium. And so it is not by default that you are automatically protected. There is no mortgage forbearance included. There is no student loan repayment included. So hence you see a mixture of stuff that surprises you by being included and a mixture of stuff not included. That's the second stimulus package. So when would it become law? Will it become law? And then what? Let me go over that right now. So first, this is currently a bill. It's 5,000 pages, and congressional leaders from both sides of the political spectrum say, we need time to read this. And they thought it was going to be 1,000 pages. Now it's 5,000 pages. I think this is going to drag on. They're calling for a vote as early as Wednesday with another extension of the extension. The federal government's not going to shut down. Another extension of the extension. And then they're expecting to vote for this in the House first, and then the Senate, and then the President, and potentially get it all done on Wednesday. I don't see it happening. This is my opinion. My opinion is that this is much bigger than anyone anticipated. We thought we were going to look for a 1,000-page bill. It's 5,000. It's bigger than the HEROES Act. It's enormous. This could go on for many days. Second, it only takes one no vote in either the Senate or House to kill the bill. It's as simple as that. Will someone stand up and say no? I don't know. Hashtag House vote no. Hashtag Senate vote no. Next, is there anything in here that is clearly very partisan? There are provisions in here that are very partisan. And I could see very divisive fighting about this bill for days. Then, Steve Mnuchin earlier today made a comment that said your second stimulus checks will go out next week. Hogwash. Hogwash. The expression going out is about as vague as an expression can be. The implication of the statement he made suggests that you're getting a stimulus check next week. Hogwash. You're not getting a stimulus check next week. It may go out, but it's going to go by horse and pony, and it's going to take 10 days to receive it from the day at which it becomes law. Again, 10 days at least from the day at which it becomes law. So the suggestion you're getting a stimulus check next week, hogwash. Then, what about third stimulus? I'm going to go over third stimulus right now. There's a lot in here, and there's a lot not in here, but let me explain what's happening in January. January's Biden stimulus, which I call the third stimulus check and third stimulus package, that will be the title of videos coming up, is going to have a lot more stuff in there. The third stimulus package will have things like multiple stimulus checks, FPUC, retro, hazard pay, food, rent, eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance, student loan debt repayment. In fact, there's so much that's going to be in the third stimulus package. Guess what? I'm going to make a video called Third Stimulus Check and Third Stimulus Package. I want you to know what's coming up in January and what's different from this. It's too much to digest. This is an overview recording on a time slot that I'm not changing the subject matter nor the content over the next few weeks. It's still going to stay your second stimulus check and second stimulus package, an overview of what you're going to have. But right after this is purple, which, as you know, is state stimulus. But joining this channel will be a new show on third stimulus check and third stimulus package. The big behemoth coming in January, $2,400 of SSI, hazard pay, multiple stimulus checks. Stay tuned for that video. I think I'm going to drop it this afternoon if I have time. As always, there's so much happening. Join me next on purple. And then, if I have time, I'm going to drop third stimulus before Being a Mitch, and then I'll come back live on Being a Mitch. Meantime, throughout the day, over the next few days, you're going to see new recordings and new time slots to answer questions about things that you need to have answered, like EIDL, like getting the stimulus check, like the routing times. There's a lot of questions out there. Wait for the recording. The programs are not live. There's nothing for you to apply for. Understand that you are not being held back because you have not applied for something. There's nothing for you to apply for. Wait for the recording. And if you have a suggestion of a recording, that comment is greatly appreciated. Join me next on Purple. And then following that, hopefully, will be third stimulus check and third stimulus package. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, save LA for more.